Here we are today, YouTube. What we have here is the PSP Go model, in which this is another remote service that we've beta tested, in which the service does work remotely, in which you must have a PC with access to the internet, in which this works for all PSP models except for the Vita. The PSP Vita is a total different modding process, in which pretty soon we'll have like a video showing that we can do the modding service for the PSP Vita, in which we already custom firmware the PSP Go, in which this one has internal memory on there, in which it's like a temporary modification for the PSP Go and PSP 3001, where if you turn the game system off, I say the hard way, where you're holding the power button up until the device turns off, then when you try to get into the ROMs or the emulators, you'll get that error right there, in which it'll definitely say that on everything else, in which when it does say that, that means you just have to go to fast recovery. And wait for it to turn back on. And then you'll be able to go back into the same options we tried previously, in which we've fully emulated the device, in which you can also put on more like games and PSP games, in which you see we have the Nintendo DS emulator, Atari, Game Boy. Let's run one of these real quickly, just to show you that the modding service does work. In which kind of load ROM. This is the Game Boy and Game Boy SP emulator, in which we can go to the regular Game Boy or the Game Boy Color, in which we put the entire library on the game systems for retro consoles, in which you'll be able to play the NES, Game Boy Color, in which this is a full A through Z list for the emulators. Every game that has ever came out on this system right here, in which they're all playable, in which we'll go over to the Game Boy Color. In which these are all the Game Boy Color games, in which we're just going to pick a random game. Just going to pick a random game, show you that everything works. We'll just go with Animorphs. I used to read those books back in the day. In which the game does play, in which I'm not gonna continue the part, just showing you that these games do play. Like, once you have it fully custom, in which this works for the PSP Go up to the 3001, in which the process is basically the same, in which we'll have you fully emulated, and we also show you where to get the games from. Let's see, let's go down and choose well, in that case, let's choose the Game Boy Advance. In which this device has like the internal memory of, it says 16 gig, in which, you know, this doesn't, well, of course it's not going to really say it anywhere, in which you have, if you don't have internal space with the PSP Go, you have to get a memory card, at least 2 gigs or higher, which we're just gonna choose a random game to show you once again. So that the game works. Hey, I don't know how I end up putting the Japanese version on there. In which this is definitely a Japanese game, in which we have a bunch of games on this system, and which is definitely worth it if you have a PSP and you can't afford to buy a bunch of games. This is definitely a service that everyone can use. You'll be able to choose any game, old school, new school, which will also show you where to get the games as well. Tune in, subscribe, and thank you for watching.